right? So tonight, what we are going to get into is goal setting. All right? So goal setting as well as building habits. All right? So goal setting is, I think, fairly easy. All right? And I'm going to give you guys the steps. All right? If you've been following any or listening to me for any of the past years, like hopefully you know this. All right? So if we're going to set a goal, it should be a what type of goal? Smart goal. All right? Smart goal. Write it down. Smart goal. All right? So let's just real fast, let's knock them out. What does SMART stand for? Specific.
Measurable.
Attainable.
Something, and there's time.
R. Anyone have the R?
Relevant or?
Yeah, relevant. Results driven. I like results driven. And time bound. All right? So SMART goals. Time bound. All right? So now let's get into each one and let's break them down so you guys can have a real good way to set up your goals, okay? So specific. All right? Pretty straightforward. Someone give me an example of a goal that would not be specific.
I want to lose weight.
I want to lose weight. Exactly. Okay, so let's go with let's actually flip it all around. Okay, what's probably even a better goal than lose weight? DEXA scan people. Let's reduce body fat percentage. Okay, let's reduce body fat percentage. Okay, is it still specific?
No.
Not yet. So let's make that goal specific.
2% body fat.
Okay, want to lose 2% body fat. Okay, now it is specific. All right, measurable. All right, let's talk about measurable real fast. Give an example of a goal that would not be measurable.
That's measurable.
Lose weight, you can measure it. You got to think a little bit more. What's a goal that's not measurable? Because again, if we can have bad examples, we can have good. What's that?
Eat better.
I want to be healthy. Yeah, I want to eat better. I want to be more fit. Okay, I mean, by itself, that's not measurable. What was the first one that you had, Whitney? No, the one you just said that was not measurable.
I want to be healthy.
I want to be healthy. Okay, so how can we take that goal? All right, because I think health-based goals are awesome. How can we make I want to be healthier? How can we make that measurable?
I am going to do this.
I'm going to eat
3
5
times a week
servings
to
of
be
fruits and
healthy, or-
vegetables 7 days a week.
But how do you know that's going to make you healthier?
Science.
Don't you think he'll just
feel
So what do you want to measure? Well, how do you measure if you feel better?
Because you know what you
Let's go with Mickey. I was going to go down the road of get your blood work done, and maybe you have high cholesterol, maybe you have high blood sugar. But Mickey's is good too. Okay, how do you know if you feel better?
If you're sleeping better, if you have more energy.
How do you know if you're sleeping better?
Because my Fitbit tells me.
Okay. What I would do now, and I don't think you're bad, but to measure it, you'd have to probably be write down, and it's a little subjective. Objective goals are better than subjective goals. But if you really I just want to feel better, okay, then every morning when you make up, you should, on a scale of 1 to 10, write down how you feel, right? And then you can say, okay, for the past 2 weeks, at the end of the day, yeah, you can do it beginning, end of the day, I wouldn't recommend it, but if someone really was I just want to feel better, okay, well, let's figure out how to measure it. And for the past month, I average a 6. Okay, so I want to get up to an 8 or something like that. So we could measure it. It's not ideal, but just think what can we measure? All right, because again, I want us to get into goals that aren't just lose body fat percentage. That's fine if that's important to you, but we should have other things too that health related, and again, performance based, all those things. Okay, so measurable. A, attainable. All right. What are some examples of goals that would not be attainable? It's gonna
12% body fat.
okay. 12% body fat in how long of time?
2 months.
That's probably not realistic or attainable. Excuse me, attainable. What's that?
3 dress sizes
3 dress sizes in how long though?
in 3 months. You couldn't do that.
I don't know. I don't wear a dress, but I'll take your word for it. Performance. Let's think performance goals. What are some performance goals that might not be attainable?
I can do 5 pull-ups
Okay.
in 2 months.
5 pull-ups in 2 months. Okay. What's maybe a more? Well, how do we make that goal attainable?
By doing more often.
No, make a goal. Like, tell me a goal and make it attainable.
I can do 2 without bands
Okay.
in the 2 months.
Do 2 pull-ups on it, okay? And maybe someone else, again, we can still have performance-based goals. Maybe you want to be like, I want to do an isometric chin-up for 30 seconds by the end of 2 months. So if pull-ups are your goal, right, your long-term goal might be do 1 pull-up without any, without any help. But for the time period, which we're going to get into in just a minute, right, make it attainable, challenge yourself, push yourself outside your comfort zone, but think about, okay, if I work hard, what can I really get to? Okay, maybe it's just holding a pull-up for 30 seconds, right? So if your goal at the end of the summer, last summer was to hike Mount Olympus, right? But that wasn't your goal for the first month. Your goal was to hike, Blanche and all those other things first. So attainable, right? Or results driven, all right? This one takes a little bit more work, and I think it's probably to think of a bad example. And I think most of us, our goals are pretty locked in, results driven. But let's get into Deanne's pull-up goal. All right, and then we're also talking about. So let's say that's one of your goals, and let's say you also have the goal of lose body fat percentage that someone brought up earlier. Okay, what are the 2 ways we can drop body fat percentage? What are the 2 things we measured that can affect our body fat percentage?
Build muscle.
Build muscle or lose fat. Okay. So results driven, right? And this is where we're going to dig into the goals a little bit more too. So if I have a goal of losing body fat, but I also want to be able to do a pull-up, right? Should my goal be like just focused on the lose body fat percentage to keep it results driven? I probably maybe need to focus on building muscle at the same time. So you got to think about your results, right? And when you start, just to throw it all out there, when we're novices, when we first start working out, we can do both at the same time. We can lose fat and build muscle. The more advanced we get, it's harder to do, right? I've seen it done, but it's more rare. Okay, so you think about that as you're setting your goals. Like, what's really the most important to you? Like, do you really want to lose body fat percentage, or what's most important? So like, set goals that you actually care about. A lot of times people come in and they're like, I need to lose weight, and it's like, when we start digging in, it's like I find that like some of these goals people set really aren't important to them. They might be important to like their family, right? Or maybe they just like, I don't know, society tells me that I should be able to run a 5K in under 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't really care about a 5K, like it kind of is common sense, but like results driven, like the goals that you set should be results driven. The R will also come a lot more into effect when we talk about process goals, outcome and process goals, which we'll get into here in just a minute. And then the last one, T, stands for time bound, okay? I'm not saying don't have a big picture goal. That's awesome, all right? But set a time limit, whatever your goal is, set a time limit, not only to make sure it's attainable, what your goals are, but again, it kind of keeps you going on the steps, all right? So big picture, when we think about, let's start by talking about our outcome goals, all right? So who thinks they know what an outcome goal is?
The final result. Yeah.
The final result, right? That is like the end, like where you want to be, all right? 5 pull-ups, that's the outcome goal, all right? Who already has a goal actually that we can work off of? Because it's easier for me to use a goal. Like, let's use a goal someone already has. Who feels like sharing a goal, an outcome goal?
Cholesterol.
Okay, cholesterol, perfect. Okay, and that's pretty. When we set that outcome goal, ask yourself why. Probably pretty straightforward, because be healthier, runs in the family.
Number bugs me. Actually,
Okay.
My good cholesterol is really high as well. So she said your numbers are still favorable, like it's still fine and good, but look at that number, and I'm like, that's really high. So I still, she's like, I would be really concerned, except for your good is so high that you're fine overall.
Right.
But so it's not even really in the family. It's just
Okay. That's a really good one.
I don't know.
No, that is really, really good. Does anyone have another one? Cholesterol is hard for me. Cholesterol is hard for me to do because that's getting outside my wheelhouse. Now it's like getting into more.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem is you can't do it with diet and exercise, but sometimes you can't. So.
Mine's are 5% body fat by Labor Day.
Okay. All right. 5% body fat. Lose 5% body fat by Labor Day. All right. And okay. So we won't get into the why, but you have a why. That's the outcome goal. Outcome goals can be even longer than that, right? So like you probably have something else in mind too that's even longer term. I'm not going to get into that right now, but Whitney probably has like a 2-year goal, a 1-year goal. Like at the end of the day, boom, like you're trying.
I mean, we can do pull-up.
Okay, no, I mean it'll all come. I'll use all of it. That's perfect. That's a really good example. That helps me. Performance and body composition. Okay, so she's probably got something longer term. That's good. So when we think outcome goals, where you want to be, make sure we think about the why. Okay. And then step by step. All right. So obviously Whitney has goals longer than Labor Day, but she's like identified the first step. I'm going to have this 3-month period. I want to lose 5% by Labor Day. Awesome. Good. Okay. So again, we're taking those outcome goals step by step. So we even break our outcome goals. All right. Once we have a short enough term outcome goal, now we want to think process goals. All right. So what's a process goal?
How you're doing the steps to get.
The steps you're going to take to get to your outcome. All right. So here's really where R comes into play, is in the process goals, results driven. Like you got to make sure when you set your process goals that at the end of the day, like if you do them, they're actually going to get you to your outcome. All right. So do you have process goals already?
Yeah.
Okay.
So mine was for exercise. Mine was 212, 4 to 5 times per week, and then 60 extra minutes of cardio. And then the Spartan was 1 to finish that. And then my nutrition were 160 grams of protein a day, 100 ounces of water, 30 grams of fiber, and like between 17 and 1,800 calories.
Okay. So let's dig into those. That's really good. There's a lot to get through. This is a great example. Okay, so you break down for Whitney's goals, and for pretty much all of our goals, there's going to be an exercise component and there's going to be a nutrition component, right? So we talked about psychology last week, so we're going to incorporate some of that. You know those, right? So I can come back to them. Okay. Let's start with the exercise side of things. So she's going to, let's make sure her goals are smart. All right, so let's work through it. So her first one is work out at 212, 4 to 5 times a week. All right? Is it specific?
Yes.
Is it measurable?
Yes.
Is it attainable? Only she can answer. Yes. Okay. Results driven. Is she going to be burning fat, building muscle? She works out at 212, 4 to 5 times a week. Yes. And is it time bound? And I really like a week. For process goals, I think the week is the perfect time. All right. Get a dry erase board. Whatever. Okay. Hold yourself accountable. And at the end of the week, boom, boom, boom. Did you hit your process goals? 3 to like 4 is really good. Like 3 to 4, like powerful goals that will get you results, okay? So she has another one based on exercise. It is
60 extra minutes.
60 minutes of aerobic, cardio, whatever. 60 minutes of movement once a week, okay? Specific, measurable, attainable, results driven. Probably she might need to mess with that number, okay? 5% is a big number, but she knows, okay, maybe that might have to bump up to twice. We'll see. Okay, and it's time bound. She still's got that 1 week. Smart goal. All right, let's get into her nutrition goals next. All right, and let's do, same again for me. There's the protein.
So 160 grams of protein.
Oh, you know what? Actually, stop. There was one more exercise one that you had that I wanted to go through. Run the Spartan race. Okay, specific,
Yes.
measurable, complete. Yes or no? Measurable. Yeah. Okay. Attainable.
Who knows?
You'll do it. You'll do it.
I hope so.
Results driven.
I guess, yeah.
My first answer is no. My first answer is if you do the Spartan, like that's not really going to affect your body fat percentage all that much. But
The process to get
mentally, the process to get there. Plus, if you complete a Spartan, you're gonna be feeling pretty freaking good, right? Okay, so I would say, even though my first answer was like, how much is that really results? if we dig into it, and as you're working through your own goals, if something isn't obvious right off the bat, but you dig a little bit deeper and be like, actually, once I complete the Spartan, I'm feeling awesome. Like, I'm going to be so motivated. Awesome. Good. Psychology, again, like we talked about last week, right? So getting yourself in that positive mindset. So we'll actually say, yes, it is results driven, and it's time bound because it's happening on July 27th regardless. Okay. Perfect. Just give us 2 of your nutrition goals.
So what, 160 of
Okay.
protein per day.
Okay.
So that's about 40% of my overall calorie.
Okay.
And then I was 100 ounces of water.
Okay. So let's go through. It's smart. It's specific. It's measurable. It's attainable. I don't know. Probably she thought it through. It's attainable. Results driven. Time bound. But what I would say is make it like, I'm not sure how. Those actually are pretty attainable, but for some of you guys' nutrition goals, you might want to say, like, one way you could adjust it is, I'm going to eat 160 grams of protein 5 days a week. So number one, you give yourself some buffer there to make it more attainable, because some of us, like, you're going to have goals like, I'm going to eat 3 cups of vegetables a day, or like, I'm going to make sure I'm eating 2,500, like maybe you're not eating enough, right? So I'm going to eat, whatever, like I'm going to eat this many calories a day, and you shouldn't be counting calories anyways, but like give yourself maybe like a 4 out of 7 days. Maybe you're eliminating something from your diet, okay? So instead of like no added sugar every day, okay? That might not be attainable, all right? So you may instead need to go, hey, 4 out of 5 days. Your process goals should be stepwise in fashion as well, okay? So like for Whitney going back to her exercise one, working out at 212 4 to 5 times a week, like that's in your wheelhouse because you're already doing that. But maybe you're just getting started, and maybe it's like I'm going to work out at the gym twice a week. And you know what I mean? Like, and then the next week I'm going to do 3, and then 2 weeks after that I'm going to do 4. So this probably plays into your nutrition goals more. Like, let's say you're trying to add in that much protein, and you're at like maybe you're only eating like 80 grams per day. Like maybe the end goal is 160, but your first couple weeks is I'm going to eat 100 grams a day. Then I'm going to eat 120, right? So build it up when you're thinking of attainable. Build it up, whether it's eliminating or adding something into your diet. And then time bound, try to make it a week. I think just a week is easier. So she was adding in water. She's adding in protein. Again, the only kind of things I would say is maybe step it up if she needs. What were your other 2 nutrition goals?
1,800 calories.
Well, I went at 1,800, so I was trying to, I calorie count. I know you don't like that.
Right.
I have to.
It's okay. There's different approaches. Were you eliminating anything from your diet? No, it's fine if you're not. Some of us will identify less healthy things we want to eliminate. I'm fine with Whitney's goals. If all her goals were, I'm going to eliminate, count calories, and something else, like then I'd be like, because again, like we talked about last week, stay in that positive mindset. So you want to add healthy things to your diet, okay? Again, I think a lot of us get surprised. It's like talking to Jim tonight, like, probably doesn't eat enough. You know what I mean? So, but again, adding in fiber. Okay, so you've identified things that again, something, that's like a twofer. That fiber is a good one that I'm going to bring up because, you're adding something in your diet, and it's also going to keep you more satiated. So, like, without thinking of, I can't eat these things, if you eat more of something like fiber that's healthy and keeps you full, then you automatically eat less and you're staying in a positive headspace. So those are really good goals, okay? That's a really good example of working through SMART goals, outcome goals, step by step, and setting up your process goals. Who has questions on goal setting? Work through it, work through your own. Keep posting it to the Facebook group. I haven't been on yet this week, but I'll get there and I was on Monday. Use the Facebook group. Honestly, like that's easy for me to like get on there and like comment on all your guys' goals like a couple times a week. Like honestly, like I'm throwing it out there to like basically coach you up like one-on-one remotely, okay? And then you can come and bring your questions to these sessions. Like take advantage of it. All right, so no other questions on goals. We're good on goals. Okay, homework for next week is start working through your goals if you haven't already. But even more important than that is what we're going to get into next, which we're going to talk a little bit about habits. All right. Feel free to leave whenever. Okay, it'll be up. You'll be able to. Barb showed you how to get on the Facebook now.
I hope.
Who's seen? What's it? I Love You Man.
Oh Oh, yeah.
You know, when Mel Stein comes up and he's like, I see you know how to use the internet now. All right, so you know how to use the Facebooks now. All right, so habits. Let's talk about habits. Because when you set your goals, I think process goals should be setting habits. All right, setting habits. Before we get into habits, let's talk about why they're important. So let's talk about willpower. Okay? Who knows much about willpower? Who thinks you're born with willpower or you're not? No. Okay? So we can work on it. Okay. I like to think of willpower like a gas tank. All right? And there's interesting research out there that kind of supports these thoughts. Okay? But willpower is like a gas tank. All right? And when your willpower is highest, first thing in the morning, okay, like sleep affects your willpower. There was a conference I was at last weekend. They had sleep doctor come in. It was actually really awesome. And we don't have time to get into tonight, but hopefully at some point I'll get some of the material out there. But suffice it to say, start sleeping. And if you're not making time for sleep, you need to, all right? 7 to 8 hours. All right, but willpower is highest in the morning, okay? And as we go throughout our day, we pull from that tank, all right? And the willpower goes down, 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 okay? I think we all know at the end of a day, if you've had a really chill day, is it easy to make hard choices? Easier? Yes. If you've had a super high stressful day, right, and you get to the end of the day, harder to make those decisions. The example I used tonight was the evening class, right? We were talking about this at 5 p.m. If you've been working out at 5 p.m. for 2 years, how much effort does it take to drive from work to here at the gym? It's automatic. It's a habit. It's routine. You don't even think about it. Contrast that to the person who's hasn't worked out for 2 years, right? 4:30 rolls around, they're done with work, and they're using all this mental energy on, I said I was going to go to the gym, but I don't really want to. And if it's been a long, stressful day and they've depleted that willpower tank, they're probably less likely to come to the gym, right? So again, it shows you that if we have habits, we don't have to rely as much on willpower. Exactly. So build habits, things just become routine, all right? How long do you think it takes to build a habit?
21 days.
Depends how hard the thing is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
That probably comes into it. The book I read recently said the average was some research was 66 days. Some were less, some were longer. Okay, so it takes some time. It takes some time to build lasting habits. All right, but they're important again, as we've already identified, because if it's routine that you eat vegetables in between meals, right? Awesome. If it's you know what your breakfast is, right? Like when I take people through the nutrition program, it's like the same breakfast every day. Yes, we need some variety, but okay, let's get variety in our dinner, in our stuff. Variety is important, Deanne. But at the same time, what's probably the hardest meal of the day? They're all very hard. They're actually all very hard, but I think breakfast is hard in the sense of you're in a rush, you're running out the door, right? So for me, it's easy. I just make my eggs the night prior, throw a piece of fruit in, right? Avocado, maybe, whatever it is, and it's routine. It's just, I don't really have to think about it. It just is what it is, okay? And then I get variety in the lunch, variety in the dinner. But I still have a lot of habits built for those other meals as well. So when you guys are thinking about your goals, think about those. So don't bite off more than you can chew. So I said 3 to 4 process goals. Maybe you just need to have 1 or 2 process goals, but that you can really dive in and be okay, for my first 2 weeks, this is my goal. I am going to eat 100 grams of protein every day, and that's it. And it's habit, it's routine. And then in 2 weeks, okay, now let me start attacking the hydration piece. All right, I'm working with someone, and that's what we've identified is having too much at one time is just overwhelming. So it's okay, hey, literally one thing. All I want you to do for the next 2 weeks is pack your own lunch, bring your own lunch to work 4 times a week. That's it. Right? Now I'm going to attack some of those other things like quality and all those things by having him email me, just email me what you ate, what you brought for your lunch. Okay, so he's thinking about it. But again, let's just build one habit at a time. All right? Because like Eric was saying, the harder the habit you're trying to build, the longer it's going to take, the more energy is going to be invested. If we're trying to do too many things at once, we can overwhelm ourselves. So know where you're at. Right? We're all going to have a different. Some of us might only be able to build one habit at a time. Some of us might be able to build 3, okay? But when you're setting up these it's the process goals especially, those are the habits you want to build because that's what's going to take you to your long-term outcome goal. All right? Questions or thoughts on habits?
So that was a discussion of how to build good new habits. What about breaking old bad habits?
Okay? Great question. Give us a specific example. Let's dig in because examples are easier.
Cooking and having a glass of wine. And
Okay.
I'm only going to, so one of my goals is a negative goal. It's like I'm only going to have wine on Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
So then I'm like cooking and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, this would go really good with a glass
I got you.
of wine.
Let's dig into it. So first off, let's make sure we stay in that positive headspace. So identify if you cut out your one glass because it's only one glass.
I didn't say that.
Okay. Let's assume. What is it then? But then how many? How many glasses of wine will you have on average at night while you're cooking?
I might have one while I'm cooking, then I'm going to sit down and eat the food now, so
Okay.
I'll have one while I eat.
So step-by-step process is the first thing I'm going to say to Jen. Well, first off, I want to identify, okay, is what you're trying to eliminate actually something you need to limit or eliminate? Because you could get in the spot where you cut out wine completely, and now you're like, you replace it with a bunch of sugar. So like, it may be a less healthy thing that you're doing, but like, just evaluate and be honest, right? If I take this away, are things going to get worse? Okay. So we've already dug in and we've already found that step process. Okay. So what I would do in your case is, and maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse, but like already right off the bat, I would say, let's spend a week of just only have a glass of wine while you cook. One. Or just one glass of wine a night, right? So let's start there. And then we can build up to going to like Thursday or Friday. All right, but the process itself would be the same as setting a good habit, right? We need the steps that you're going to take. You could almost think of like that only having wine on Thursday and Friday, even though it is a process goal to get you to whatever you go. Like you can treat it like an outcome goal and now break it up into steps. So first 2 weeks, I'm only going to have one glass of wine a night. Then I'm going to have, then I break it down to 2, so we're looking at Monday, Sunday through Thursday, right? So that's 5 days. Okay, so now only one glass 3 days a week for maybe 2 weeks. And then it's 2 weeks of, and replace it, and that's the other big time thing. I knew I was forgetting something. And replace it with something else, replace it with something healthier. Yeah, replace it with something healthier. Just like, whenever maybe it could be an ice, something. It doesn't even have to be a beverage. It could be, whatever.
For me, I just had to stop.
And that might work better for some people too.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, for some people it might just be cold turkey. But if you're going to do stuff cold turkey, again, really evaluate. And what I've seen is when people so if you take one thing, if that's just one thing that you're working on, then you can probably go cold turkey. If you're going to cut out all wine and you're going to cut out all processed snacks and you're going to cut out all sugar, let's just assume that you're eating a lot of processed snacks and eating a lot of sugar, you may get that pendulum swinging and you might crash and burn. So just think about that when you're building these habits. Maybe take them one at a time, depending on where you're at. Again, each individual is different, but that's what we're looking at there. So does that answer your question? Are there any other thoughts about eliminating or breaking bad habits that you guys have?
I kind of thought of, Whitney had made a comment last week. She was like, I think about this. I'm like, does this fit in with my goals? So that's what I kind of been doing. I was like, that really resonated with me. It's like, I can have that glass of wine if I want, but does that fit in with my lockdown goals?
Right.
No.
And that's why that's why the why is so important on your goals. Dig into the why, because if you can't answer why is that important to you, it's probably not important to you, and you're gonna like quit when it gets hard. Because I've done that, because I've selected goals because it was January 1st and I run a gym and I need to have a goal, and it's like, I want to squat this number because that's what strong people do. And it's like, I don't really care about it. And did I meet my goal? No, because it was like, I don't care. So you got to set goals. It got hard and I didn't care. So you got to set goals that are actually important to you. And then I love what Whitney says, does this fit into my goals? And then it's easier to make the right choice because you actually care about what your goals are. And you're staying in that, again, positive mental attitude. Stay positive with it. One thing for me, Luke, what do you got? One question, one comment.
I mean, for me, like, I don't have a really set in stone goal, so I think I just need to like set one and just go with it. It's not like I have something I want to do. like a point that I want to get to. I just kind of want to like be more healthy and lose weight. I don't know.
Well, start thinking about, so I think you're going down the right path of like, I want to be healthy. Okay, so start thinking of like, well, where am I at now that I would prefer to be someplace else? Like, are there specific bike rides that you would like to get into? Are there certain, and then again, that's where the why is important. And it's fine if you don't have aggressive goals. You're probably not going to be coming here at night and doing the lockdown, like if there's not something that's important to you. But like, just, think about, it's never too late to reevaluate and set new goals. But like, okay, like this is what I can do now. Are there things that if I were stronger or if I had more endurance that I would enjoy doing more? And then it's like, maybe the hobbies you already have right now, be like, so if I were healthier, and again, get specific with it, but like, if I could squat more weight, would I have more fun? Or would like indoor soccer be more enjoyable, right? If I had more endurance, would it be better? If if I had more power, if my box hop were higher, right, would I feel better as the goalkeeper? Things like that. But you're already pretty solid there. You don't need to set any goals for being the goalie. Luke crushes it at indoor soccer. So, but yeah, you're getting down the right path. So, any other final questions or comments for me? All right, awesome. So homework, goals, and I would say one habit that you want to build. Once you've done that, feel free to post it to the Facebook group. If you're still working on last week's homework, post that into the Facebook group. Pretty much once one person does it, everyone else follows suit. Do you mind cutting the... Thanks, Tom. So we've